Hello, and thank you for tuning in to a very special episode of Pillow Talk Live with Pastor Jackie L. Jackson. This show is dedicated to those who may have lost a loved one, family, or friend to gun violence. Today we're going to dive in and see if we can find solutions and different ways to bring this horrible situation to an end. To find better ways to bring our communities closer to loving each other by putting the guns down. So join us as we go live now. Let's dive in. Thank you.
Okay, we're rolling. You are now tuned in to the Pillow Talk Podcast Hour. You are now tuned in to the Pillow Talk Podcast Hour.
Girl, hurry up. The show about to come on. Come on. Dang.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? We are here up in the building. We're here up in the building with another episode of Pillow Talk Live. We're up in the building, ready to rumble, ready to get it rolling. And we're sitting here today. Of course, you know, we're sitting here today with one portion of our panel, but one portion is better than none, you know? One portion is better than none. And it's always a pleasure for us to be up in the house, and we're trying to make sure everything is popping, everything is right. We're trying to make sure it's right. We're trying to make sure it's popping. We're trying to make sure it's right. So we're going to get today's show started. And today we are touching on the topic of gun violence. We are touching on the topic of gun violence. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And when you deal with things of that nature, it's really touchy and it's really delicate. But before we get started, we definitely have to introduce ourselves. And of course, we have, me and my beautiful wife.
Oh, yes.
We are in the building. Yes.
The Dreamteam is here. Oh, yes. They're here.
The Dream Team.
is
Yes,
here.
we're the Dream Team. Me and my beautiful wife. Yes, we're the Dream Team. Of course, we're the Dream Team. And we also have, to the right of my beautiful wife, is Pastor. He just told me not to. Pastor Jackie L. Jackson. Fumbles and mumbles all day. Jackie L. Jackson. We are so honored to have Pastor Jackson here today with us because he's been through a lot, and we will really dive into that in a moment, and you will know what I mean when I say he's been through a lot, but thank God he's still here. And to the right of him is and I'm not gonna mess your name because I know you waiting. Like I know he gonna say my name at the end wrong. But we have my lovely cousin, Shanetta Hurd. Yes, we have Shanetta Hurd. I got it right for once.
She said you heard.
She said you heard. And I'm so glad that I got it right. But like I said, we are here today and we're gonna discuss and be touching on the topics of gun violence. Gun violence. I said gun violence, and that is from Jamaica. That's the Jamaican term, gun violence. Okay. But we're talking about gun violence. So I'm so glad y'all,
That's from the Law Homes.
Yes, that's from the Law Homes. That's from the Law Homes. You are correct. Yes. I'm so glad that you guys are tuning in today, man. I'm so glad you're tuning in today. And we're going to touch on the subject of gun violence. So how do you feel about this today, babe? How do you feel about the subject of gun violence today? How do you feel about that?
I think it's so important to have more, conversations and getting, awareness out about the gun violence. I think a lot of times I see on, the social media and people always say the parents blame the parents for the kids that's out here using these guns. I don't blame the parents because, we instill so much into our children. Mm-hmm. And then when they get a certain age and they get out there in the streets, they peers. They didn't learn that at home. Ain't nobody sitting at home teaching their kids how to kill nobody.
Right. It's a,
Completely agree.
Pastor Jackson says, maybe.
I mean, maybe some, but majority of these young kids that's out here with gun violence and stuff, I don't think their parents, majority of them, maybe I shouldn't say nobody's doing it, but I personally just don't think these kids that's out here doing gun violence, like they learning this from home. I don't care if were brought up in the projects. I was brought up in the projects. I was brought up in Wayne Terrace. But my mother didn't, sit up and I don't recall nobody's parents sitting up teaching them about going to shoot somebody. And it's just this new era now. Because I don't, as a 52-year-old woman, I never heard of this much gun violence.
I think it has a lot to do with like social media and, parents not really focus. I always bring it back to the 241 kids thing. When they start getting firm on that and you can't hit your kids and can't really discipline them like you should, it's like gave them a gateway to like kind of like touching, like tiptoeing to doing what they want to do. And then when they get to social media, it's so influencing when you watch the social media, and it's like the parents may not be paying attention to their kids as much, not disciplining as much and being on their back as much. It gives them leeway to go, sneak and do other things, and it's kind of touchy. It's kind of scary. It's a very touchy situation. What do you think, Pastor Jackson? What do you think?
Well, since we started out talking about parents do hold a level of responsibility, and that's part of the problem, I think, in today's society. A lot of times, and like you said, not all. There's nothing that is all of everybody of anything, right? No, if you had 20 people in this room, there's not going to be anything that we all do the exact same thing the all way. But you are looking at parents having a level of control. When you look at parents today, some who spend more time being their children's buddies, who spend more time being their children's partners than being parents, then that's where it becomes an issue. When you say parents are not sitting up there and teaching their kids about guns, well, if you look at white supremacy, their kids know how to use automatic weapons. They know how to break down and do a field grade cleaning of a weapon. So yeah, there are parents teaching their children to do things with guns. And then even if you're not teaching your child to do this, but if you have weapons and you're not being a responsible gun owner, I am by no stretch of the imagination am I anti-weapon, but I am anti-irresponsible gun owners.
Yes,
so it is the parents' fault if you're leaving your weapon under the mattress, in the drawer, under the clothes, up on the top shelf because kids can't get there when they can, and then your child ends up with that weapon and ends up shooting somebody. Yeah, that's your fault. And until parents, like we saw up in Oxford, I think it is Illinois. In fact, I went up there when the school shooting happened up there and met with some of those parents. When you have parents who know that their children, like the shooter in Georgia, who knows that their child is making threats, but you are buying them weapons, right? When you have parents who their child brings a gun to school or their child shoots somebody and they go, I had no idea that my son or daughter had a weapon. Why don't you have an idea? You're the parent. Why aren't you going? My parents went in my room. They went in my drawers. Why aren't you checking to see what your kids have in the backpack? So parents do hold a responsibility. Just like that up there, those two parents got prison time. And then the one in Georgia got, he's being held accountable. He got charged. When you start making parents be more accountable and responsible for their weapons, then you're going to have fewer kids showing up at school with weapons that they brought from home. So, but it's not every parent. I hate it when I hear that, especially like social media, you see something online and everybody go, because parents ain't no good. Not all parents are doing that, but just like not all are doing it, you can't dismiss the fact and not have the discussion about the ones that are, because the ones that aren't doing it isn't the problem. But the ones that, the ones that are being responsible and parenting and checking on their children and not letting weapons being laid around, the ones that are using safety, you can go to the police station and they will give you a gun lock for free.
Wow.
You can get biometric safes that people go, well, how do I get my gun? It's just a thumbprint, pop, it's open. You do what you need to do. So if you're not doing that, then as a parent, your child shoots me or my child, I don't only want your child, and I'm one of those that I don't want to hear this stuff about kids, their minds have not developed. If they've developed enough to point a gun and shoot somebody, you're 15 or 16, you need to go to jail. And I also think the irresponsible parent who did not secure that weapon and make sure that their children were not able to obtain it. Now we've got 4 or 5 kids dead in school, or you got their friend who came over and he can go or she can get the weapon and like, look at my dad's got a gun, and then they're playing with it. Bang, it's an unintentional shooting, but nonetheless, mom, dad,
right.
You need to be held accountable. Yes. I'm telling you, you start holding more parents accountable, I bet you they will start going back in the drawers and under the mattresses and checking the backpack. There's no reason for your kid to show up at school with a gun that came from home and you didn't know. But if you got your weapon secure,
ain't no chance of that. Right. So I get what you're saying on that part. I fully understand that. That was what you're saying. I'm in agreement with everything that you said. But I think back where I was trying to relate to, where a lot of people do just say blame. I didn't, blame.
Fully blame the parent?
Fully blame the parent, because I'd have been around, know some parents who instill good value into their children. And, they get older and they go off and get gun happy.
They do.
They get gun happy, but it wasn't. They parents didn't teach them that. They teach them good values at home and morals But it's sometimes I just think a lot of people do always say if they were taught better at home. So I get what you were saying, but my end was just saying like it's not always just come from home. So that's maybe I should have worded it better, but it's not always come from home, because it's some good parents out there and they done raise their children get of age and they do what they want. They be around their peers and they learned it. So that's what I was meaning by that. And just off topic, I just think too sometimes, like when you were saying like me, it's nothing about a gun, but me growing up in my household with my mom, it depends on the individual too, because I grew up in a house, so my mom was like so sweet to us, and like you said, me and my mom were like best friends. Mom, if I wanted to smoke weed at home, I could have. If I wanted to drink at home, I could have, but I didn't, and I'm 52 and still don't. I didn't do none of that stuff, but I could have done it if I wanted to, because me and mom had that friendship. So I don't know if it was, I'd rather for them to do it at home than do it outside. I don't know what that thing was.
I would rather mine do it neither. Not at home. Yeah. You definitely ain't doing it at home if you're a kid.
Right.
And not out and not outside either.
So, but it didn't, I grew up to be like, and I was around, a lot. And so it's not always the parent. You know what I'm saying? So you get a certain age, it's the individual too. Because I had that mindset. I didn't do it. And I grew up in the Padres. I was with people to drink. I was with people to smoke weed. I didn't take my first liquor drink until I was 40 years old.
Wow. I didn't take mine until I was 15.
40 years
but
old.
it was Philip's fault.
Before I took my liquor. Now I can go back now and I would drink the little coolers.
So you had alcohol.
I had alcohol, but as far as some liquor and really, I was 40 years old before I even started that.
But you got to look at the era. This is a different era.
Right.
When you're talking about how you were, you're 52. You are 12 years younger than I am. I'm 64. We grew up in a different era. So when you talk about how you were raised within, we did not have the internet.
Right. No cell phone.
There's a lot of stuff that we did not have. So we weren't as advanced in some ways as these kids today.
Yes.
There's the great poet Eminem in one of his songs said in one of his No, I won't quote Eminem yet. I'll wait look
Yeah,
later
but no,
into the
I
show.
just-
So
But-
I know what, and I don't mean to cut nobody out because I'm sitting on the sideline.
I hear you.
But if you think about it, a lot of the gun violence has to do with these young people watching these video games. They watch those violent video games, and in their mindset, they think they can go out there in the real world
Mimic.
and do the same thing, and it's cool, but it's not, because I don't want my granddaughter watching no type of violent stuff on no video games. But if you think everywhere you look on TV, it's violence. And like you both were saying, if a parent don't sit down and say, look, if you go to your friend's house and they start playing with guns, I want you to leave. I don't want you to be a part of that. Or don't pick up a weapon. You can tell them that, but then if they start looking for love in the streets, the streets is going to teach them about stuff that we don't want to teach them.
I do believe you have to
So-
monitor and monetize
Yeah.
your children to a certain extent. You definitely have to monitor. You have to step in that room and see what's going on, man.
Exactly.
Because it'll be a sad day for you, because you're gonna get in trouble as well when your child does something if they're
Oh, yeah.
underage.
And if they getting bullied at school,
Yeah.
the first thing they gonna think about is they want to come home. I'm gonna get my dad gun and I'm gonna go shoot up that school, and I don't care who I kill. I'm gonna kill the teachers, and that's sad that our young people is feeling that way because something is wrong somewhere.
That's
But
just
let's
a
look
lot.
at
That's a
something
lot.
though.
Yes,
When
sir.
you mentioned shootings and school shootings. When you look at school shootings, even when you talk about gun violence, period, there are different. What type of gun violence? When I'm in meetings or I'm certain places and people ask me, "What do you think the solution is to gun violence?" My question is always, "Which gun violence we're talking about?" Because we lump gun violence into one thing. You're talking about school shootings? Are you talking about shootings in black and brown communities? Are you talking about the shootings at the grocery store? Are you talking about shootings at festivals like in Vegas? So when you start talking about that shooting, but looking at school shootings, the majority of school shootings, if we're talking from a mass shooting standpoint, the majority of those are white males. Are
really
white
is.
students who, and a lot of times when they dig back in, they like some girls, the girls didn't like them, somebody said something mean to them, right? Because most our black and brown kids aren't doing mass shootings in school. But the sad thing about, especially in the black community, is we are, and especially black males, we are the highest rate of individuals that are going to be shot are black males. And guess who they're going to be shot by? It's not by the white police.
Right.
Because, but when it is a white police, we'll tear up the community because the white police shot Ray Ray.
So weird.
But
so
the
weird.
majority of black males that are being shot by black males. And you know what? When a black male shoots somebody, you know what we don't do? We don't tear up his block where his house at.
Right,
we don't
right,
go march
right.
on his house.
Right.
We let it go. So I'm just saying, as we go through this call, right? I'm sorry, I'm sounding like I'm not trying to take over the call. But as we go through this call,
Right.
I think we have to explore gun violence, because when we lump it in, gun violence is gun violence as a whole. But you got to look at different things, because that's when you have to start. When you talk about
Compartmentalize it,
solutions, you got to look at what type of gun violence are you talking about? Our kids in black and brown communities, and especially, I'm gonna leave it in black and brown communities. You're looking at a generation of kids who feel hopeless.
Yeah.
And when you start thinking about some of those reasons, when we go back to what crack hit Cincinnati about
In the
89,
80s? Yeah.
89.
Yeah,
I mean, well, it was late 80s going into the 90s, because
Right.
we were still singing crack skilled Applejack in the early 80s. Ain't nobody know, it was just a song that they were singing. Didn't
Right.
know what it was.
Right.
But then when crack hit, there's a generation of parents that were lost. They were the crack parents. And because that generation was lost as kids, they weren't raising their children, or they were having children while they were on crack, right?
Yeah.
So we got this generation of parents who were missing. Now, what happened with that is, while you got this generation of parents that are missing, they were crack parents. Their kids were growing up. In some cases, if grandma, granddad, auntie didn't jump in there, now you got these kids who were growing up not being raised by individuals who have been raised. Remember back when, like your grandmother, your granddad, all these folks, when we were growing up, those were different kind of grandparents.
It was different.
In the case. Sometimes now, You got remember that was Big Mama for real. Big Mama had been around.
Yeah.
Big Mama had some understanding. She had gotten some wisdom.
You respect
and some knowledge. Oh, you better respect.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't,
yeah.
And just to touch on something, you got me fired up. To touch on when you talked about 2-for-1 kids, the misconception is that you cannot discipline your kids. That is not what it says. It says you cannot beat and mark your children. Right. You can still discipline your children, but because when it was so big and it was talking about making calls, parents got scared. They didn't want to discipline their kid. But I knew a lot of parents, they said, look, I will go to jail. I'm just going to go to jail. Because I'll be darned if you going to run my house.
You said no marks, so you could smack them upside the head, right? You can't smack them because you can't see the marks. You can't see the marks.
You got to use a phone book?
Nah, we ain't gonna go there. But let me say this, Jay. First of all, we start off this podcast diving deep into it, right?
We did.
So let me ask you, what is your occupation? Because a lot of people out there they don't know what's going on. What's your occupation, and what are some of the things that you do with your organization?
Okay, so I guess the first part of the title, Pastor Jackie Jackson. So I'm clergy. We know that part. But I'm a national gun violence prevention advocate.
Okay.
I work at this point now with Everytown for Gun Safety. Everytown for Gun Safety is the largest gun violence prevention organization in the United States. Wow. We're headed up around 12 million strong. Wow. Put in any type of gun violence, whether it was the shooting in Vegas, the Pulse nightclub, if you're looking at Sandy Hook, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, we end up working with these families or individuals from these shootings. I am a program manager with Everytown. I'm on the fellowship. We have fellowship, Survivor Fellows.
Okay.
So I'm a part of the fellowship. I manage the Northeast region of the United States for Survivor Fellows in our organization. I am also manage the programming for Survivor Men because, and something we'll talk about later on, men, we were taught to lie as little boys by our parents. Yeah. And everyone. And those lies were walk it off, suck it up, be a man, get over it, men don't cry. And so when we got older, as we get older, that's something that stuck with us. So when we face trauma, we don't deal with trauma. Right. We don't get the help from trauma. But that's another thing. But dealing with men is working with us to get us to accept and understand the trauma that we're facing, to accept and understand what that's doing to our life. And a few other things with the men's program. The men programming with Everytown is actually just a few years old. We just really jumped into that. Everytown is 10 going on 11 years old. So it's actually a very young organization. I also I do the calls for new people coming in Everytown. It's the Everytown Survivor Network. So I work for Everytown is the overall organization. The Survivor Network is the department that I'm in, and then I work on the Survivor team. So I do the informational calls twice a month for individuals who want to learn about Everytown Survivor Network, who want to get involved, engage, understand what we do, how they can be a part of what it is that we're imparting in them. Also, I work with the survivor leaders. So there's an organization, and you may have seen them around. It's called Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. They wear red T-shirts. And there are boots on the ground. They do a lot of the legislative work. They take survivors of gun violence up to the state house to meet with legislators to talk about their experience, because the best way to get allies is to share your story on how gun violence has affected you and your family. Right. So I handle those calls. We bring in these different leaders from the different Moms Demand Action chapters around the country, and we just kind of come in and talk about what each chapter is doing, how that work goes. So that just kind of gives you an idea of the work, just a brief idea of the work that I do with Everytown. But before coming to Everytown, I came to Everytown in January of 2020. Before that, I was with the Community Outreach Advocates, which was through the city of Cincinnati, where we responded to the homicides and shootings in the 5 Cincinnati police districts, where we responded on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, which was crazy. But 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, we were on call with a 40-hour work week, and we also had a caseload of the shooters, the drug dealers, the dope boys, and whatnot. And our goal there was to reduce. We were violence interrupters in a way. When we responded to the shootings, we were doing on-site counseling, conflict mediation, and crowd control.
Now,
So just to
let
kind of give you an idea.
me ask you. Let me tune into that. I'm a segue off of that. What you just said. So I know when me and you were talking like maybe like a couple of weeks ago. So like a lot of people might think like when you see like these TV shows where somebody get killed or they murdered and the parents run up on the scene, they allowed to break through and actually hug their child while they on the ground, taking their last breath. And you told me like it's not like TV.
It is not like that. And people, because you watch it on these different shows, they're not walking you over, right? If you're a mom, dad, husband, wife, son, daughter, whoever you may be, and your loved one is over there behind the yellow tape, they're not coming to get you, walk you over, raise up a sheet so that you can identify. One of the hardest things that family members, when they show up at a homicide scene, a lot of times your family member is not covered by a sheet. Wow. So you could be standing there, seeing your loved one laying there, knowing that their life has been taken, waiting on the coroner. Right. Now, here's the thing about the coroner. The coroner comes in the order of which they're called. So there were times that we were on scene 3 hours waiting, 4 hours waiting on the coroner to show up. What happens, now you've got family who, I remember hearing family calling out to their loved one, just a name, Jason, get up, get up, get up, baby, wake up. And so you think the longer they're there, the trauma that they have to endure.
Right.
Plus the community is also there. So sometimes at these scenes, things can get really tense. And if you break through that yellow tape, you're subject to get tased. And you're subject to get arrested because now you are interfering in a crime scene.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that we did, was to try to keep trying to help with that crowd control. There's a lot of times we're holding people back. We're laying on I've laid on the ground in the snow, in the rain, in the filth, just holding a mother or a father, sometimes trying to keep them from breaking through, sometimes because of the trauma that they're dealing with. But it's not. If you, and God forbid this happen to you, when you lose a loved one to gun violence, the next time you see them, when the coroner comes and picks them up, will not be until the funeral home has gotten them and cleaned them up, and you come in for that viewing. Not all the way to the visitation and the funeral, but when they set up that private viewing, that is the next time you will see your loved one. And my heart goes out every time I've worked a scene. My heart goes out. And just this June 22nd, that's when my grandson was murdered. Down on the banks, 16 years old. And
just June 22nd.
June 22nd. And I went down. Well, you wasn't asking about that, so I'll wait till you.
That was a question I was gonna get to though. To take us there and like the experience of you going through that, how that felt.
Well, I'll take you through it, but first I gotta mention my grandson's son. So my grandson, Jackie Lavelle Jackson III. Right. That's the one who got killed, 16, a month before his 17th birthday. Right. But December 26th. Of 2023, his dad, my son, Jackie L. Jackson II, had been shot defending his home out in Evanston, shot twice through the stomach, didn't touch his spine, to God be the glory, grazed his shoulder. He fought with the guy that shot him. He's fighting after he's shot twice and bullet grazed. He's fighting. He was able to get the clip out of the weapon, and his sweetheart Becky joined in too. So they're fighting this dude who has shot him, and he's defending his home and his family. But and I just wanted to go back to that to understand that 6 months later is when my grandson, his son, is murdered. So we're still dealing with Jackie II. And he's still doing his healing part of going through that.
So he's still here with us.
Oh, he's alive.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But that was the second time in his life he was shot. He was shot in 2007 when someone tried to rob him out in Walnut Hills on Boone Street.
Wow.
And he survived that shooting. So he survived 2 shootings. So now we're dealing, and Jackie Lavelle Jackson, I was shot at 10 years old.
Right.
So
okay, yeah.
when Jackie got shot, my son, the second, got shot again in December, we said we were going to start doing everything that we could to make sure not another Jackie L. Jackson was shot. Because between the 2 of us, there have been 3 shootings. Him twice, me once. So we're going through, he's healing. We're dealing with that. Then we get to 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:15, my phone rings.
Right.
Now, understand, this is the 3rd time my phone has rung for a Jackie Lavelle Jackson.
Yeah. Right.
Both times for my son. And when it happened Christmas, his sweetheart called me and she's screaming in the phone and she's like, Jackie shot. My question is, which Jackie?
Right.
My son or my grandson? And she says King, so I know she's talking about Jackie, my son. Right? So I'm rushing to the hospital for him. On June 22nd, I get a call around 2:15 in the morning, and it's my grandson's mother. And she's hysterical, as she would be.
Right.
And they called my granddaughter, she said, and told Nashea that Jackie was down on the banks and they got shot in the head and that he's dead and so forth and so on. My first thing of any of this, because I've been doing this for a decade, is I've gone to hundreds of homicide and shooting scenes. So my mind first clicked, it's muscle memory. I click into work mode, right? I click into comforter mode.
Right.
I need information. I'm trying to get you to calm down so I can understand what you're saying. And I said, okay, you said somebody she doesn't know called her and said your brother's been shot in the head.
Wow.
All right, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call you back. So I start calling police because I work with the God Squad as well. Even after I left the outreach team, and the God Squad was a number of clergy that work with Cincinnati police on doing the same thing that the outreach team did, where shootings and things and other things were concerned. But I can't reach anybody. Talk about how things are weird. I can't reach anybody.
Right.
I call a couple other people that I work with on the team. Have you heard about the shooting? What's going on? Can't reach anybody. Then I call the hospital.
Right.
And it just so happens that someone I know is there. Actually, I called her phone. I didn't call the hospital, actually.
Right.
And I started talking to her. She didn't give out information because they're not allowed to give information. But I just told her, I said, I got a call. They said my grandson was shot and killed. I need to find out something.
Yeah.
And she just said, hold on. And she came back and said, come down, social service will be waiting on you. That didn't mean that he was dead. So I called his mom back. I'm like, okay, this is the deal. I'm getting ready to head to University Hospital. I still don't know. She said, well, I'm on my way. It's like, okay, you need to calm down though.
Yeah.
She's like, right, I'm on my way. So now for the 3rd time in 2007, about 16 years, I am rushing down 75 to University Hospital. I get there. She takes me over to social service. And my first question is, this is my grandson. And it's like, we don't know, we need information.
Yeah.
They need information.
Yeah.
He didn't have stuff to identify, right? So I give them the information. I call his mom. I get some stuff. Then she shows up. When he comes back out and he's like, I'm gonna take you to the back. We go to the back. Doctors come out, and their first thing they say is it was a fatal headshot.
Wow.
That made it clear he is dead.
Right. Sorry to hear that, man.
So, so his mom is hit with that, my granddaughter, he was my oldest grandson. He was the second oldest. And then my granddaughter, Nashea, who's the oldest, she was in there. Obviously that tore everybody up.
Yeah.
Then the detective came in and, I'm trying to talk her and walk her through because I done sat through this so
many times.
Yeah. We talked to the detective. We can't reach my son because him and his family had just come back from vacation, right? So I go over to his house. I'm banging on the door, and I'm nervous because I'm banging on the door. Remember, he just got shot 6 months ago.
Right.
Now I'm banging on his door, and the guy that shot him is out on bond. So, but who answers is one of my grandsons, my younger grandson. And then they're coming out as well. My grandson came down, opened the door. They're coming out the back, and I tell him, I'm like, boy, go upstairs. And they're wondering why, because I don't come to your house at 2, 3. By now, it's almost 4 a.m, and I'm banging on his door. And they're trying to get what it is, but I'm trying to not. I'm like, boy, go upstairs, go to bed, because I don't want to have this conversation in front of my grandson. But once he's upstairs, I just look at my son. I'm not here to beat around the bush. I said Jackie was murdered.
Yeah.
I said Jackie was murdered. He was shot. What? I'm going to sit you down and have a bunch of other conversation that's going to take me right to telling you that your son has been murdered.
Yeah.
So I just told him, and we hug, we talk, but he's kind of like me in how we analyze stuff. It hit him, and then he was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go down to the scene, because that store down on the banks that's across the street from the side of the Freedom Center where the police are usually parked. It's like a little convenience store.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right where he got shot, right outside of there. So, but I go head down because, again, I'm granddad, I'm dad for my son, but my mind goes to work. So I'm going down. They're going to come down to the scene. I go head down. That gives me a chance to talk to the police officer on scene, let him know, who I am, what I do, so forth and so on. And so he was able to give me some information. And I saw officers, they were looking around for weapons and stuff. I mean, for shell casings and whatnot. But I see this one area that they are, and that turns out where he was shot and killed.
Right.
Then everybody shows up, and I'm gonna tell you something that was crazy that pissed me off to no end. Friends of my grandson came down.
Right.
They're TikToking and dancing with the camera over their shoulder down where the murder scene is. It took some of my...
They knew the situation?
Yeah, they were his friends. They knew what they were down there for. They're smiling on TikTok, and they're doing all this, and it really took a lot to... And some of my family members was ready to go wild. They didn't, to God be the glory, but they were ready to. And then we're sitting there, we're watching them do everything. They bring I don't know if you've ever seen this, but don't happen all the time, and especially in Black and brown communities, but this is the business district, so it's definitely going to happen. They bring the fire department. They power wash the sidewalk. And then they use this solution that's a bleachy chemical type thing that you can smell a block away.
Right.
And we're watching them, and we know what they're doing. They're washing away and power washing his blood. Yeah. After that, that's when they take down the yellow tape. And that's when we were able to go over to the scene. I won't give you all the information because some of it is like personal, family, private. Yeah. But there was a lot of media there. I handle media for my family. Mm-hmm. And so I was busy because I know these reporters and telling them, no, we want to know. Can we interview? No. I'm putting people stand this way because they're aiming their camera at certain stuff. When you're on that scene and when you're a family and you have no one that has done this work that I do,
you don't know.
You're navigating it sometimes all by yourself.
Right.
And it can get really crazy. I know that was long, but I wanted you to get. I wanted to paint that picture because when you hear about it on the news, it's a few minute blip between a carnival that's happening and the next fair that's going on or a car sale. So you hear that somebody's life was taken, but then and it's the news. That's their job. It's not about that one thing, and they move on. So I wanted your audience, if they don't know, to at least get somewhat. Of an idea of a picture, what it is, and we were down at that scene for a long time.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come back and ask a couple more questions as far as pertaining to that subject, and then we're going to sway into another subject. But we want to take a quick commercial break, so give us a second, and we'll be right back.
When I was 34 years old, I was 204 pounds, overweight, stayed tired. low self-esteem. Now I'm 52 years old, 150 pounds. I have good energy, good clarity. I love it.
So we're back. And we wanted to take a quick commercial break, but we're back with Pastor Jackie L. Jackson, and we were just discussing tragic situation. So I wanted to kind of, still stay in that area, but segue to something else. So what was the first time, I know you said you got shot when you were like 10 years old, but what was the first time that you experienced like a violent situation? Was it the 10-year-old thing or was it something before that?
Oh, no, I had some other stuff that took place. I don't know if it's violent in terms of violence, but it was violent. But since we're here talking about gun violence, I don't think that's something I want to delve into.
Okay, yeah.
I think we talked about it.
Yeah.
Didn't we? Maybe not. I don't think we talked about it.
I don't know. I know you. Only thing I really can picture is the 10-year-old thing when you got,
Yeah, but experienced some other stuff between that. That is a topic for another show because it's a whole different lane. Right.
Okay. Yeah. I understand that. I can definitely understand that. So let's hit you with what was the what was your turning point to where you're in the hood, you're coming up and you're doing your thing, you're making bad decisions. What was your turning point to say, you know what, I gotta take control of my life and pivot to be a grown man, or work towards that way? What was your pivoting moment? What was your turning point?
Well, first of all, I've never made a bad decision in my life. Right. Well, see, the thing is, and I don't know if you're aware of this, I grew up two different ways, right? So I was born to a family that was in the West End, right? Okay. But at 3, for some reasons, health reasons of my mom, we ended up in an orphanage for 6 of us, last 6 of us in an orphanage for a while. And then we ended up in different places. So I ended up with some step parents. So I grew up a lot different than my family.
I don't know why I never knew you had brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
I don't, maybe because I'm way younger.
You were way younger. Yeah. But I didn't grow up with my family. I was till 3 and then went to the orphanage and then with my other parents. They had some money. I lived a totally different life. Right. And then at 14 and a half, almost 15, I came home to live with my biological family, which first had me on Ray Street with one of my sisters, and then into the Lincoln Courts with my mother.
Okay.
So it was a whole different way of growing up. Yeah. And so when I came home, I remember my oldest brother always telling me, "We're gonna have to beat the white boy out of you."
Right. You were too uppity.
They didn't like. I remember my sister got mad at me because I didn't know what food stamps were.
Oh man!
And she told me to go to the store and she gave me this different color paper.
What is this?
And I just put it in my pocket and then she said, "We'll go to the store." I was like, "You need to give me some money." And she said, "I did." I said, "No, you didn't." So we kind of had a back and forth.
Right.
So I gave you food stamps, and I'm like, "What are food stamps?" Well, Lord, why did I do that?
Oh boy.
Boy, now again, there's that little white boy or whatever whatever.
Right.
What I was looked at, but now I'm at home.
Yeah.
In the Lincoln Courts, going to Bloom.
Oh. Going to Bloom.
So I had
living
to
in
pass
Lincoln Courts
through the law homes,
right?
Richmond Village,
all that.
Stanley Road, all of that, which wasn't good.
Right.
I learned to run well. I didn't grow up fighting. A lot of my family, they grew up fighting. So when I came home, I fight heck.
Right.
We call it now what we say is fight or flight.
Yes.
I was a flight master.
Yes.
So,
yes.
But and then I ended up at Porter the next year. Okay. Thank God.
Right.
I didn't have to pass through because y'all was some vicious folks in the law homes and all that. But with my family and the Jacksons, they were known for scrapping.
Wow.
I wasn't, but I had the name brand.
Right.
Which wasn't good because I didn't do that. And
put you to the test.
So took me through the test. But coming from how I grew up to the Lincoln Courts, I came from a very structured, controlled environment. Right. To now I'm in the courts. I meet this cat named Philip, who just
Oh,
totally
man.
corrupt me.
Crazy.
Who was younger than me, right? and then his sister, you know, they just turned me bad. No. but you know, so I get there now. I'm smoking weed.
Oh,
you know,
man.
I'm
They done turned it
wait.
bad.
You know, Philip did that. I didn't do
No, yeah, and drinking cough syrup,
Oh,
Roman
man.
tussin.
Yeah.
Concert back then?
Back
That's
then.
not new.
No, that listen. Here's the thing. Most of the stuff these young people think they doing new. It ain't just like when we were young and we thought we were doing something we really wasn't. Our parents knew it.
So syrup was
That was, and I'm talking in the 70s. This
In
is
the
like
70s.
70,
It was about
76.
syrup back then.
Oh yeah, Romatassa
76.
DM.
Yeah. I was
6
5
ounces
years old.
was like zoom, but and so.
I can remember
And
Philip
so
doing that too.
I started changing, right? I started carrying a gun.
Man, you did?
I'm gonna tell you how good God is. I should have been a drug addict.
Right.
Everything short of heroin and crack. I'm talking angel dust,
Wow.
cocaine, goofies.
PCP?
What's
There was,
goofy?
it was a pill, and it made you goofy. Microdots,
Wow.
a lot of acid, window
Yeah.
pane, all this stuff.
Window
But-
pane?
Oh yeah.
What,
It was
sniffing it?
Angel
No,
dust?
window pane.
stuff back then.
Window pane, you put it on your tongue, it dissolves. It's an hallucinogenic.
Oh, okay.
All this stuff. So I went from this controlled environment.
to being a hard boy.
I was out of
Out
it.
there.
Now, Philip, who was one of the baddest drummers in all my travel,
Man.
still to me one of the baddest drummers I ever
Yeah.
met. And I been blessed to work with some people.
Yes.
I would have put Philip up against any of them boys,
Yeah.
and he'd have
Yeah.
killed him. But
Yeah.
Philip, we used to steal my mama's pills. Listen, we would do shows and not remember the show the next day.
Oh, man. Y'all was out of it.
We were done. So I went from this goody two shoes.
Right.
I went, and I'm saying that because you stopped making those bad decisions.
Yes.
I did some mess.
Wow.
I did some mess. I ain't
Right.
gonna go into all the mess.
Right.
But I did some mess. But what happened when you say what is that turning point? I was called to ministry at 17.
17.
But as you know, I've been in entertainment pretty much all my life, and I had to decide music or ministry.
Now, what was it though? What was it that hit you? Like you saw somebody get beat up.
No, I'm telling you, because I was called to this thing,
You felt it in
to
your
ministry. Eventually, after running and running and getting my butt whooped by God, I got convicted in my heart. But change, which on a television show, you only got an hour. Change happens quick.
Right.
My change was periodic. There was a point where I stopped doing certain things, but other things I didn't.
Yeah.
And in some cases, I let this go,
Right.
but I picked up that.
Right,
Right.
right.
But as I went through seeing the blessings that God was giving me, I've been blessed to do a lot of stuff,
Yes.
to work with a lot of people. You know, I was doing choreography for the DeBarge for a minute, doing all these different type things.
Yeah.
I began to realize that change was necessary, because if not, and a few things that I remember I was in Lexington, and this was back when I was moving packages,
Right.
if you know what I mean.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yes. Yes.
And I had a situation where this guy had messed up some money, right? And and my folks was looking for him, and then they threatened his mama, and that was like a bridge too far for me. But they had already threatened her. Now I'm sitting in this park in my car, and I hear somebody say Ohio, because that's what they call me down there, because my tag said Ohio.
Right.
And this cat that walked up on me, I didn't know who he was until way later.
Right.
And he was like, "You looking for my cousin Rip, right? He owe you some money, right?" And
Right.
I'm like realizing he done snuck up on me. I'm sitting in the car. He's standing over me, right? And he's like, "You went to Rip's mama house. That's my auntie.
Wow.
This is what we gonna do, partner." you ain't never going to my auntie's house no more. And if you do, I'm gonna kill you.
Wow.
But I'm gonna take care of you because my cousin, his nickname was Rip. That should have clicked with me from the beginning.
Right.
But he was like, I'm gonna square everything away. But though it's those type things that
Because it could have been a totally different
place.
situation.
It could have been. It should have been. And then I'll give you another one. A guy asked me to come to his house. Oh, just for your audience to know, I wasn't born a pastor, so I'm opening up my closet.
You was convicted.
And I'm one of those pastors. A lot of pastors don't want to tell you they dirt. I'm gonna tell you how I got to here.
Yeah.
Right. And he called me over his house because he wanted something. He ain't got no money.
Right.
He said, but my daughter here.
Yeah.
12 years old.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
like, what? He said, yeah, my daughter here. You do whatever you want to do. I was like, for real? Can my boys come too? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, we're going to be back. And you know some of these guys, so I ain't going to say their name.
Wow.
I'm saying my boys, my cats.
Yeah.
We go over. Let's just say he had an attitude adjustment.
Right.
He had
Yes.
an attitude adjustment. And
By way of Mr. Jackson at that time, Mr. Jackson.
I ain't do nothing. I mean, that wasn't my thing.
Right. Right.
They called me the professor.
Right.
I didn't do nothing. But I told him we're gonna come by your house every day.
Yeah.
Every
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And if she even looked like she beginning to think about considering getting ready to tell me something crazy,
It's on you.
they're gonna see you again.
Yeah.
So and I'm sharing, and I can't believe I'm sharing this with you because some of this I share like in a ministry setting. Some of this I don't normally share on something like this that at the end of the day my organization I work for is going to hear.
Yes.
So what was I thinking? It must be some of that microdot from 50 years ago. But you asked me. So these are the things that brought me here and got that change. It wasn't an overnight change, Tico, and it don't happen overnight. Well, let me change that. Because I stopped smoking weed in 3 days because I told God I wasn't. He's going to have to take it. And that was right after 9/11. And I haven't smoked a joint since February of 2002. And that happened in a 3-day thing. But the transformation and where it gets me where I am today, it is a number of things. Just like all of us, we transform. And I visited my brother and my sister-in-law's church today. They had friends and family, and Pastor Nick Barnett. His message was transition.
Right.
And talking about transition. And our transitions happen over a period of time. And it's different things. I can't give you a thing other than the only a thing I can give you, and it's not a thing, that's God.
Right. Amen. Yeah. Amen. Yeah. Pastor Nick is I grew up with Pastor Nick. Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he got a story to tell too.
Oh yeah.
I know Nick personally. He got a story to tell. He's not scared to tell a story either. He's
no,
just
he's
like
not.
what you just said. He's real transparent and he lets you know how he got to where he is today. So
people need to hear it,
Yeah.
and especially from church. And I know your show is in the church, but the thing about me, one, I am not a traditional pastor by any stretch of the imagination. One of my favorite messages to minister is stop treating God like a late night booty call.
Wow. Yeah, deep.
Because that's what people do.
And powerful. They do.
Right? That's what you do.
Yeah.
It plays the same way that the call works. And once God delivers you, heals you, break the chain, give you the job, get you your car that repossessed, you don't call it tomorrow.
Ain't that something? Yeah. After
You
that
good.
hangover, you done.
You
thank
good
you.
now until
Until the next
until you at the party and ain't nobody going home with you. And what you do, you get your phone, baby. You up?
Right.
That's what you
Right.
do with God. God, you up?
Yeah.
Because I done tried everything and it ain't worked. Now, God, you up? I need you to. I need a job. God, you up? My family is getting destroyed. God, you up?
Yeah.
And then God, like, I got you.
Right.
Come on over. Just like to say, come on, I'll ring the bell when you
Yeah.
get there. And then you go home. You go home. You don't need God no more because you got your car back. It ain't repoed no more. So,
Yeah.
I just do ministry a little bit different.
Yeah.
Come as you are.
Sometimes you have to be different. I think, it's okay to do traditional ministry, if that's your field.
It's definitely okay.
But I think anyway it's okay as long as you're trying to get the word of God out there. To me, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But to come different, you kind of it seems like you kind of have to like try some different ways and different maneuverabilities to try to reach the younger crowd because like you said back when you was talking to her, it's different than back in the past. Like cell phones and everything. We didn't have cell phones and everything back in the day.
We had computers. We had Etch-a-Sketch.
And Etch-a-Sketch. We barely had a computer. Like the computers we had,
No. See, you had a computer when I was little. There were no computers.
No computers, right?
A ViewMaster. You put the little thing in and you click it, and you can see the thing. That's about as computer as we got.
Right. Yes. So it is. It's definitely. Sometimes you have to be break the tradition and do it your way. And if you want to do it traditional, it's good. If you want to do it a different way, it's good. As long as you're doing it in a way that it reaches the children or the grown-ups or anybody that's willing to listen. But as long as you reach one person, it's good.
You did your thing.
Yes.
And that's that. Like you said, that's the important part to reach. And that's the same thing with reaching these young people with gun violence. See, a lot of that's our fault too. When you feel hopeless, you get reckless.
Yeah.
And when you get reckless, you can become violent. And when you become violent, people lose lives. And our young people they're either carrying weapons because they're the perpetrator.
Right.
Or they're carrying weapons because they're scared of the perpetrators with weapons. The same reason why anybody else. Y'all may be too young. There's an artist named Gil Scott-Heron.
Okay.
You know Gil Scott? Gil Scott had a song called Gun. So everybody got a pistol. Everybody got a 45. And the philosophy seemed to be, at least as near as I can see, when the other folks give up theirs, I'll give up mine. And so that's the hook. But when he say, brother man nowadays living in the ghetto, where the dangers show enough real. Now, if he's out late at night, and if he's got his head on right, I lay you 9 to 5. He's walking with steel. Brother man say he's afraid of gangsters messing with people just for fun. And he don't want to be next. He's got a family to protect. So just last week, he bought himself a gun because everybody's got a pistol. And so for our young people, and not here's what's bad, and what you're saying too, going back. What's bad is it's a handful of, as my sister used to call them, earth-disturbing kids out there.
Right.
It's a handful of these young people that are doing mess. Unfortunately, all the young people get lumped in.
Yeah.
Because people go, these young people, they're out of control. They are in terms of saying young people, but it's not every young person.
Right.
Like you said, it's not every parent that is not teaching their kids morals.
Right.
And true, once your kid walk out the door, unless you're walking behind them, you don't know what they're doing until they come home safe, please God, or they're knocking on the door and you got CPD. Or wherever you may be listening to this, knocking on LPD or LTD or whoever you got knocking on your door, and you don't know. But we've got to, we've let our young people down in a sense. All of us, we've let our young people down when they're telling us about issues. If you're a young boy and you like, Dad, I'm being bullied. You're being bullied? Boy, you better get out. We're not being bullied. You better get out there and take care. You better go handle your business. Go handle your business.
Yeah.
Right? So now he's scared to talk to you, but maybe he ain't a handle your business guy.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Right? Everybody ain't a handle your business guy.
Right.
But he's trying to talk to you.
Right.
But you on that, be a man, walk it off, suck it up, get over it. So now he's trying to figure out how to deal it. So either he gets so stressed that he gets your gun or he do something, now his life is destroyed, or he ends somebody else's life, which his life is destroyed, or he ends up getting killed, which means his life It's destroyed when sometimes all you need to do was listen. Maybe you need to take your kids and get, in the black community, we don't like therapy as much. We're getting better.
We're scared of it, but yeah, we are getting better.
It wasn't made for us.
Right, so they say. Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
If you think about therapy, if you go back, even when, in terms of white women, when they weren't working in the world, they were at home. Who was working? It was a white male working.
Yeah.
Who was on his job and was dealing with stress and sometimes dealing with the other woman and the wife and the job, and it's so stressful. And so therapy became something for him to deal with, to handle, to be able to do what he was doing on that job. I wasn't in corporate.
Right,
or people
right.
who looked like me wasn't in corporate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there wasn't no counseling for that. So you got to look at some of these things and see where this stuff is coming from.
Yes.
And our young people, we've got to start. One, we got to start listening.
Very important.
We don't listen to
Very
young people
important.
because you listen, they'll tell you what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But let me stop. Don't get preachers' mics.
No, you good. You good.
I just want to go back into when I was saying, as far as in the beginning, when I was saying, that's where I was saying, as far as like, in my household, my mother, she had 4 children. And she raised us. And I can't even remember a time my mother didn't even work. My mom always worked. Always worked. But that goes back to what I was saying is like, when she come home from work, my mother would sit us down. We would play cards. We would do Monopoly. We did family things. Like she would work and she would come home, cook, and we would do those things. So when I was saying that she, not like she said, go drink and go smoke or go do this. She told us if we was wanted to, we probably could. If I wanted to, I probably could have with her. But she did say, if you drink alcohol, this was gonna make you how you gonna act. She told me what it would do. My mother didn't smoke, but she did drink alcohol. But she would let you know how it's gonna make you feel. So I had a choice. I didn't want to feel like that, so I didn't do it. Like sometimes I just say like, when a person can instill things in you, it's up to the individual at a certain age. Right from wrong. So even though I could have, I choose not to. So it's not always, and then there's some parents who tell their children, you better not do this and you better not do that and this and wouldn't allow them. And as soon as they out there doing everything under the sun.
Right, but the parents still did, because if let's say you would have been the person who was like, oh, I can drink, then I'm gonna drink. Right? And then let's say you drank, and then you would have went outside, and then something would have happened. Right?
Right.
You know who they were going to blame.
Of course.
They were going to blame your mom.
I'm just saying the difference in the mindset of a human being and a person and a child is parents who is still, you better not do this, you better not drink this, that. And them kids go out there and they do it. Versus I was in a household, I probably could did it if I wanted to. And I went out there and I hung with children who drank at a young age, who smoked weed. I was running with them all day long, but I choose not to.
And that's a blessing.
Yeah, but it's still sometimes like, it ain't always the parent. That's what I'm saying. It's always the parent. It's up to them children. It's them children, their mindset. When they leave outside their door, it's their mindset of what they going to do around their peers. So they can take our hold, sometimes not always the parent. Them children, when they walk out that door, you hold yourself accountable. Hold yourself accountable. It's not always that's what I'm just saying.
It's not.
Just not the parent, because I just be like, my parent, I could have.
But we can't give parents a pass either. So when you say it's not always, you're right. But there are times if your kid goes and joins a gang, and then the initiation for the gang is that he has to kill someone, and they give him a gun and say, go kill, that's a whole different thing. But if your kid killed someone with your gun that he took from your house, you need to be held accountable. I agree with you on. And that's what I'm talking. You need to be held accountable.
I agree. Yeah, of course. I agree with you on that. I'm just saying, like, I hear it so much. They be like, if the mother would have got her child, it's a lot of mothers, is not telling their children, teaching them morals. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, my point
But
is
we're
just
still
the
held
ones,
accountable for
the
it.
ones who just go out there and doing it. But what you're saying, of course, if the parent, they get the mama guns and this and that, you got to hold
But
them
it's still more than the guns, though.
It's still more than
than just guns. As parents, you are accountable and held responsible for that. Like back in the day, because I don't know if they do that this much now, because now they're shooting folks. But back in the day, you broke a window, they came to your mama and your daddy, you owe for this window. Why? Because that's your child. But I wasn't with them. Ain't got nothing to do with that. They're still your responsibility. You're still accountable for what they do when they're with you. You're accountable for what they do when they're not with you, because somebody who's going to be held accountable. Not my fault. I'm not accountable for your child.
Right.
So you're accountable for your child. Does it seem unfair? Life is unfair.
Yes,
but
it is.
you
Yes, it
brought the
is.
kid in. You are accountable for that child until they reach the age that they are accountable for themselves.
And even though you ain't at home teaching them that, like you're saying, you're describing your mom and the values that she instilled in y'all and the things that she was showing y'all, you know, just because you're not teaching your child, that doesn't mean that when they go out that you're not supposed to totally still be paying attention to what they're doing, who they're with, the choices that they're making. You know, you can't just be like, well, I didn't raise them that way, so and then expect that because you sent them out there that they can't still get tangled up
crazy.
in it. You know, you still can't sit back and, well, I taught them this and I taught
Because
them
that peer
that.
pressure is something else.
Yeah, and the thing about it that's so much different than when we were coming up is that it's totally different.
Yes.
So it was easier back then to parent your child at home. There wasn't as many outside influence. There wasn't social media. There wasn't
it's crazy.
Everything now is so amplified that you can take those same wonderful parenting skills that some of us might have had. I didn't have that. But some of us had these, you know, better home environments, and it was somewhat simpler for you to send your child out and expect that your child was going to come back still kind of the way you sent them out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's like, if you ain't got Christ in your life, and if you ain't in no prayer, it ain't no type of... This is a totally different world that we sending that parents are sending their children. I thank God.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be 52 this year. And I thank God that I don't have like no kids in school and this, that, or the other. There is like way so much more going on. So that means that as a parent, you can't just sit back and say, okay, well, I taught them wrong. I taught them and I told them and this, that, or the other. No, you're going to have to, unfortunately, you keep laying down having these kids in this generation that we got right now, then you're going to have to do a whole lot more as a parent than our parents had to do and the parents had to do before, if you expect to get good results out of your parenting. You can't just, okay, I told them the right way. I talk to them when they come home. I help them with their homework. It requires so much more than that now.
Yeah.
So much more than that. So the responsibility on the parent is just greater. You can't shun it. You can't take it away. Quit letting your kids go spend a night everywhere. Quit, you know what I'm saying? It's just a whole lot of stuff we just cannot do. And if you let it go, and here's the thing, okay, so maybe you didn't have a gun in your house. Okay, good. Maybe your gun was locked up, this, that, or the other. But if you ain't paying attention and then you allow your child to go over there, or you allow these kids to come, the same thing gonna happen.
Yeah.
So it ain't all about what we doing in our household and what we teaching our kids and the influences that we know that they're having. Right now, it's about everything that we don't know. And it's about all the influences that the enemy is instilling, and they all are meant to steal, kill, and destroy our children first. Why? Because those are the vulnerable ones. Those are the ones that they can get to. So the enemy is working overtime to destroy our families, destroy our children. So as parents, you have to work overtime.
Yes, overtime.
Okay, and so if you don't,
and be
you're
passionate about it.
Bottom line.
Can we pass the plate?
Yes.
Because no, we need to pass the plate.
Well, let me. This what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a very quick commercial break, really quick, and we're gonna come back and continue this topic. Give us a quick second, guys. Yes,
It
yes,
is,
it's a
because
lot.
It is
It's
a new generation. I mean, I'm glad I'm not raising on it. My youngest 30.
Guess what, though?
My youngest child 30 years old.
Definitely what that baby was on them.
You got grandchildren.
Yeah.
That's in that era. So now, it ain't so much we gotta worry about our children. We gotta worry about our grandchildren.
You're right. You're
Growing
right.
up in all this turmoil. Because it ain't nothing. This is,
deep.
see, first of all, the enemy knows his time is getting close. So what do? He's really out here building his team. And it's not, listen, kids gonna broke into the darn gun shop. Stole all them guns.
Broke into
What
the gun store.
what do they need to be breaking into anybody's company, stealing all these weapons for? For what?
And this just happened not too long ago?
This just happened. About last month, this just happened. And then you got this guy, I know we probably should be talking about this on your thing, but you got this guy.
No, get it on.
This guy is on the bridge in Kentucky shooting at people.
Oh, yeah.
No, on Express. No, it's on Expressway.
That's the-
on Expressway.
I-75.
They still haven't caught him. What happened? They haven't caught him yet.
I know I ain't got no microphone.
Right.
But I'm gonna say this one thing. When y'all come back?
Oh, go. We back. No, we back. We've been back.
We been back?
Yeah, we've been back. We've been back. That was just trying to quick commercial. It was in and out.
Yeah, go ahead, gang.
All right. The one thing I got is you gotta pay attention to the ease of access of weapons. Like when we were growing up, you couldn't just go get no gun.
Nah.
You couldn't. When you were growing up, how many school shootings do you remember hearing about?
I remember a lot of black eyes and busted lips.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had some
Ease
of them.
access to weapons now, and not just regular little pistols. Like you said, that man was
AR-15s.
Those are weapons I used when I was overseas in a war, fighting in a war. I used those weapons.
Right.
Now they got those weapons on the street.
How did they get it?
So
And politicians saying it's okay for them to be on the street.
the same weapons I used in war, shot down helicopters with, I blew up buildings. Those same weapons are on the street.
In mass.
And how you think they're on the street? You think they're on the street like they just got them some type of
The
way?
government brought it in.
Yes, yeah.
That's what, I mean, how
That's
else they
crazy.
gonna get them? Because
It's
and
crazy.
it's young people. It's young people, and it's blowing my mind because I cannot understand to save my life. Because you know what? Nowadays,
It's
you're
a
not
it's a
safe
lot. It's a
anywhere.
lot. No, it's a lot. Yeah.
How old was that? I don't know if he was like 14 or something like that down in the law home playing in the drive-by. He might have been 12, I think. And he gets
I remember that.
shot. He outside playing, and it's just for me, I don't even want to hold a gun in my hand, which I have before a long time ago, but I got rid of it because I was like, and it was a one shooter. A one shooter.
A one
A
shooter.
one shooter.
A Derringer. A
I
Derringer.
You know, the first time
The little Derringer.
I just gave it away to somebody. I don't even know what I did. I was young. But the first time.
You don't stop shooting that gun.
Do you know I had a stun gun? I had a stun gun. I had like probably the first stun gun there ever was.
Wow.
You old.
Now this guy that was in the service, he said, because I was in Chicago, I'll never forget, he said, look, it's dangerous out here, so take this and, protect yourself with it. Look, I don't even know how to use it, so the police took it from me. They didn't even have stun guns then.
Did they know what it was? They knew what it was?
He didn't know what it was. He said, oh, what is this? I said, well, this guy told me to protect myself. He said it was a stun gun. So, but nowadays, like, you're not safe sitting in your house.
Mm-hmm.
You're not safe walking. You're not safe at school. You're not safe at church. When you're not safe at church, you're sitting in church having a service. And at the end of the service, it should have been odd to everybody.
That
That this, and I'm not racist or anything, but this white guy comes in a black church, and you got on this coat and stuff, and you show that as soon as service is over, you kill these people.
It was very tragic. Yeah,
I mean,
remember
it's
that.
just crazy for me the way this world is. That's how you know everything that is in Revelation is coming. It's here. And people don't, daughters against moms, sons against fathers.
Yeah.
That's why we did this song called, what was the name of that song? It takes a village to raise a child.
Mm-hmm.
It don't just take one parent. It takes a whole village.
Say something to somebody's child in the village now.
Oh,
Watch
man.
what happened to
And that becomes
You know what
a
I'm
part
saying?
of the other problem. When I was growing up, your mama came to the school, called your mama your daddy because you acting up, or as they said back then, you cutting up.
Yeah.
And when they came up there, I know I got a bunch of whoopings at school in front of my friends.
Yeah,
Right?
how they used to do it.
And,
Yep.
and that was after I got a paddle.
Right.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it got to where when teachers calling your parents about these earth disturbing kids, and the parents coming up want to jump on the teacher. So now what do their kids see? Oh, if the teacher say something to me, they gonna come whoop it. But I want to hit something that you were saying about your kids and going to other folks' houses. You need to ask. We have a thing called Be Smart. And part of Be Smart is there's some questions you need to ask before you let your child go over somebody's house. First question you need to know, do you have a weapon in your house?
Wow.
Yes, I do. I mean, that part too. But on this weapon, you have a weapon in your house.
Right.
Yeah, I do. Is it secured? Oh, yeah, it's secured. How is it secured? Because if they go, it's in my mattress, I got it up on the shelf, you don't need to let your kid go over and spend the night at their house. Because if the gun is accessible and your kids are going and they got kids, their kids probably know where that weapon is.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was, there was nobody in the house with me because with my other parents, I was the only kid.
Right.
My other dad had a long barrel 38 and he kept it in the bureau. I think that's what they call it, the bureau or whatever thing. And I used to get that gun because I saw Russian roulette on television. I used to get it.
Crazy.
What?
Thank God
Oh,
he
man.
didn't keep it loaded, and it wasn't an automatic, so it wasn't one in the chamber. It's all in the
A lot of people
cylinder.
died like back in the day.
But I'm because I
Just
saw it on
playing,
television.
yeah.
We need to you need to ask before you let your child go over somebody's house. Do you have alcohol? Yes, I do.
Man.
Do you have a locked liquor cabinet? My kids know better. Well, and I know better than to send my kids over your house.
Right. Yes.
You know, so you got to ask some questions. This is not. Gil Scott had another song. It was like it's 1980. He said, "Ain't no way back to '75, much less 1969." Well, this ain't the same era. It ain't the same world. The things
Totally
ain't the
different.
same, and parents have got to be vigilant in parenting your child and not just teaching morals. That giving that guidance is important, but just like us as adults, we don't stick to stuff that we should stick to. So why quit making your child be the adult?
That's really something to think about.
I don't put my gun up, but I told him don't touch that.
Right.
Why are you making your child? You're the adult.
Right.
And it didn't work for us.
Anyway, let me say.
No, you own it because
very
that's
deep.
the thing
That's
that
deep.
I'm saying. Like you can't just be like, well, I told them that at home. I taught them that. I spent time with them. Okay, but then they go outside, or you go to work and they have company. You know, whatever it is, it's more than that going on.
Yeah.
So if you be naive enough to think that you think you did enough, that's just why they gonna go do extra. Like, come on now, we did it. We did it, and we had the bare necessities to do it with.
Right.
So think about them. They have everything at the tip of their finger.
At the tip of the finger.
The tip of
They
their
can reach
never
around
had
the
that.
world,
We never
around the
had.
country
So
in
if
a
you
matter
think
of
that you
minutes,
can sit
seconds.
outside, oh yeah, they went with Johnny, they over there, and you won't check into what in the world? And you think you parenting today? You think that's parenting? All right, keep it up. Go
And
ahead.
you got some parents that'll you got some parents that'll do this and let their kid. I'm not talking about their children, their grown children. They let their kid hit the weed.
Yeah.
So if they letting their child hit the weed and your child over there, they might be letting your child hit the weed. If you're that irresponsible with your child, I'm not going to assume you're going to be all that responsible with mine.
Yeah.
So it's rough being a parent and it's hard. And parents, we got to give parents grace. But at the same time, these are your kids. It's your responsibility. Well, I can't be with them every hour of the day. Okay, when the police knock on your door and put you in handcuffs,
You really ain't gonna be with them.
you ain't gonna be with them at all.
Right. Exactly.
That's the problem. The
I'm
problem
dead
was
serious.
They'll tell them something. You tell them, I told them, and then you over here smoking weed, drinking, getting drunk.
Yeah.
Right.
So they just waiting on you to go do your thing. Because you gonna be out of your mind anyway.
Listen, you twerking with your granddaughter. You know something that drives me crazy? When I see little kids, you got these, and I see parents and grandparents cheering on little kids, shaking their butt, twerking. It's like you are and we don't, we live in this society where everything is just cool now, ain't nothing wrong. You are a very irresponsible parent.
Yeah.
You are an irresponsible parent. And what are you teaching? What are you teaching your boy, your son? When you're always going up against his mama's head, you're teaching your son to be a domestic abuser.
Yeah.
Now, does it mean he's going to? No.
Right.
I'm not saying that he's going to, but the example that you're giving your son is if she didn't make the toast right, bip. If I said you're supposed to be here at 3 and you wasn't, bip. So what happens when he gets in a relationship?
Same old thing. Same thing.
Maybe he won't. But why? But why put him there?
Yeah.
Why put him there? As parents, it's harder to raise. Okay, I ain't getting ready to have no more kids.
No.
But
I would
just understanding it is harder. I would not want to have a little child today because you got to compete with porn on their phone.
Yeah.
Listen, when I was growing up, and not that I'd ever seen porn when I was growing up, but
He cleaned that up quick.
it wasn't easy.
We don't believe it.
It wasn't easy. You had to go through some stuff. Listen, when the first time I heard Richard Pryor, I had to Red Fox. Had to sneak the album,
right,
and hope I didn't get caught.
Right, the album.
Because if I did, I was gonna get a foot in my butt. Exactly. But now you got kids riding in the car. I'm gonna turn her upside down. I'm gonna do this to her. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna blow them in the head. I'm gonna shoot them with a gun. And the kid back there dancing and mama dancing, daddy dancing, and so now when your kid is out there doing certain things,
Don't get mad.
why you pissed off when you sitting there playing? You're inundating them with the music because you are too irresponsible to say I will play this when I'm by myself. But you play it with your babies. You play it with your toddlers. You play it with your terrible twos. You play it with your preteens. Let me
tell you something. I am a school bus driver.
Oh God.
Oh, so
you can attest to this.
Firsthand.
Now we on the bus, you hearing all types.
They singing Sexy Red and everything.
My wife can tell you this. I come home every day with like I think I'm gonna be an alcoholic for life or something like that because I be like I got to drink today because these kids that drove me crazy. I'm talking about like last year. I'm not gonna mention no names, nothing like the school or nothing like that. But this little boy had to be. I think he was 7 at the time. He was 7 because I ain't even going to, but he was 7 at the time. And I'm like, he talked to another little boy. That's why your mama let such and such do blah, blah, blah on her chest. And I was like, how you know? Like, he must have heard it from moms or something.
Yes.
You don't have to. All you gotta do is take his phone and and go. Google. You Google porn.
Everything. You get everything. Boom. Sexy woman, boom.
Right there at your listen, stuff that we wouldn't have even thought about. They can see bondage, they can see S&M, they can your babies,
everything,
your kids. But can we circle back to something? Because I want to make sure before we go that I don't miss this part about gun violence.
Yes.
Is when I say we got responsibilities, it's our responsibility. We give shooters and murderers carte blanche to walk around the community. Cause I ain't no snitch.
Right.
I ain't no snitch. Snitches get stitches.
Yeah.
I ain't no snitch. When we outreach team, when we would be at a homicide scene, there's always and there's a family and they're asking people what happened, and everybody's I just turned my head before the shooting started. I blinked or whatever, and nobody see nothing. Right? Then maybe we're back in that same community, that same area, maybe a month later. Now it's one of those people who coughed or blinked or looked tied their shoe.
And they want answers.
Now it's their family.
Right.
And you know what they're out there going? I know somebody saw something. Y'all need to say something. So people are, I ain't no snitch until it's your kin.
Yeah.
Then you want everybody to snitch. We let killers and shooters walk around hang out on the corner, sit on the stoop, and we ain't calling nobody. And a lot of times until your family member has caught a bullet and is laying there on the ground, and I'm saying it this graphically, bleeding out, now you ain't concerned about snitching. I'm never gonna snitch. I'm gonna tell.
I'm telling.
I'm straight up telling. Because if you'll kill them, you'll kill me.
Yeah.
And you're talking about snitches get stitches. Well, here's the deal. If you are protecting a killer, what if he gets paranoid, or she gets paranoid, and you ain't told, but they start thinking that you telling, or you might tell, they will still kill you. So we are allowing in black communities, we give freedom. I don't want to see another black man in jail. Listen, if this Negro out here killing people, I want him in jail.
It just convicted me because I was just in a movie before we came here, and up on the screen, it was like, if you see something,
say something.
It said that.
Yes.
And I told the people that I was sitting there, I was like, I ain't saying nothing. Cause I ain't get shot up. If I see something, I'm mad at my business. That's exactly what I said. Like, just feeling like.
And now you feel like what?
Now I feel
that you have to tell. Yes.
Because of what he's saying. Because if something happened to you, or you know what I'm saying, then I would be saying something. But I just feel like, you know, we're in a society
It's scary
to where
because like the cops might,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's like it's more like, you know, we need blinders on but you just convicted me. That was my point.
I'm just give you a little secret. Because you know you're a minister, pastor. God didn't give you the spirit of fear.
Amen.
So you roll with it. I wish somebody would do something in front of me, and then I wish they come to me.
Right.
Oh, you do something in front of me, let's believe you come.
What did Dr. Dre say? What you think I sold them all?
Right.
Show up if you want to.
Right.
This kind of off topic about this, you know, the snitching and this and whatever. I have a nephew. My mom had raised him 9 years ago. He got killed by gun violence up in Price Hill.
Sorry for that.
And we was hurting by it, but I think me and my mom, and this is something that I personally wanted to do, was leave it up to God. We left it up to God. We didn't try to really figure out who killed him because nobody wasn't talking. We didn't stress over it. We was peace, be still. We did not go looking.
Oh, don't go looking.
We used to know, with, you know, asking people. We didn't do all that. We surrendered to God. 2 to 3 years later, the young boy turned himself in. Sometimes we have to be peace, be still. We have to let God fight for us. Sometimes we get in the way of God and we think we can do that work. We cannot do the work of God. So if we truly go by faith and ask God to bring forth that, we live in God said, vengeance is mine. So sometimes when situations like that happen, you have to peace, be still. You have to surrender. You have to give it to God. You cannot stress yourself out over it, because what can you do? Right. You have to truly in your heart say, God, this is bigger than me. You got this. This is your call. And look, and we honestly let God handle that. And the young guy turned himself in.
And that's a blessing. But there are a lot of people, there are so many people who did go digging. And because they dug when the police wasn't digging, because they dug and it had become a cold case and wasn't nobody working on it, because they were also praying and asking God, God said, you have not because you ask not. And so because they were also praying and saying, Father, I need, or God, however they pray, Allah, whoever they were praying to. And because of that, they were able to get information that they were able to pass on to the detectives because people would not give the information. So what you're saying is true. I don't advocate to tell you to go become Colombo.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the people who know. The one who killed my grandson, and it's an ongoing investigation, so I'm not going to tell you the parts that I do know.
Right.
But the one who killed him, people know because they all talk to. They're going to talk to somebody, either whether it's bragging, whether it's confessing. People know. Right. And the thing is, I applaud when I see parents, and I know sometimes people get upset about these parents. When I see parents turn their kids,
their own son in.
I went down to Georgia because one of my sons, and he's doing time now, and they let him out. They should have let him out, but they let him out by mistake. They should have. They hadn't brought him to court or nothing for a couple of years. Right. In Clayton County, Fulton County in Georgia, better keep your butt out of trouble because they're crazy down there. But I had to go down, me and one of his aunts, because they let him go, and he was like, I'm going to run. Wow. And I'm like, you ain't got no boats and no planes. Where you going? Mm-hmm. I said, I'm coming down to get you. I went down, got him, and we took him back to jail.
Right.
I had people tell me, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. I was like, no, you know what? I'm not mourning that they went looking for him, and maybe he's a black man, so all he had to do was sneeze and they may have shot him.
Yeah.
See the thing, we sometimes we put so much on ourselves to protect, because as black folks, we have been done wrong. But just like even back in slavery, there was always one or two slaves that carried the shotgun for the master and would shoot you. It was always, and they enjoyed it. I'm not talking about the ones they did it because they just had to and they had no choice. I'm about the one that enjoyed popping the whip on your back. There was and even today, there are always those that will do things to destroy your life. But if you are a killer or a shooter and you're out, and see, here's the thing about these fools, I'm sorry, I'm gonna call them what they are. Half of these fools can't even shoot. So the baby is shot because you mad at Bippy, and and Bippy right there, and you doing all this because you watching movies and TV, and now that gun jerk and this baby is dead, or you done hit through the wall upstairs, and that child sitting in their bedroom minding their own business now got a bullet in them, and we are running around here not wanting to tell on. Listen, if you're a Negro killing folks, you need to go to prison.
Yeah.
You need to go. You need to be off
real.
The street. And I don't care. I don't want to hear all this. My brother. If you my brother, you wouldn't be killing my doggone children.
Right. Yeah, if you my brother, you wouldn't be killing my brother.
There you go. And so therefore, it's time for you to be removed. And I'm gonna tell you something else I'm for, and y'all may not agree with this. If you are recklessly shooting people, guy on the expressway, Bubba Bond. I hate when I see that they done killed 8 people. Well, not 8 people. They done killed somebody.
Right.
They've got a $50,000 bond. Right. No, sit your butt there. I'm talking about reckless. I don't mean if somebody broke in your house. Right. I don't mean if you walking down the street and somebody attacking you. I mean you out here shooting folks, or you shooting at folks, and you ain't got enough sense to even learn how to shoot. Right. And now you shooting innocent people because you don't care. You just pop it, pop it, pop it, pop it, pop it, pop it, pop.
Yeah. That's how they do.
You don't need a bond.
They do.
That baby ain't got no bond. That baby dead. Ain't no bond. You can't go pay a bond and get them out of death.
Yeah. It's crazy. You talking about reckless shooting. So we got a relative. This happened a couple of years, maybe about 2, 3, probably been about 2 years ago, down on Ray Street.
I know.
I was there. He just came home.
I worked that one.
He just came home.
That wasn't reckless though.
No, I'm trying to tell you the way they was shooting was reckless.
Oh, that was reckless.
He just got home. He hadn't even been home a good year, not even 6 months. His mama kept saying, don't hang down there, don't go down there.
To the same environment.
Because he's been locked up for a long time, so he institutionalized, okay? He gets home, and I guess the dude, girlfriend or whatever, was trying to come on to him or something. But no, I don't want, because that's my boy. But instead of his boy saying, okay, man, that's cool. I'm glad, you know what I'm saying? He wanted to try to show off. And for a couple of days, they had been shooting at him. And that was crazy for you to go back up there. So the last day that he went back up there, they were shooting at him and he was running. I guess somebody gave him a weapon. He wasn't even looking.
One shot.
He wasn't even looking. He was running and shooting this way and just one shot to the head. And now that dude is dead because you trying to show out for your girlfriend and that's supposed to be your homie. You can set out in his mama's house and everything. Y'all supposed to be boys. But because you showing out, now you in the grass. And my cousin is sitting
That's nonsense right there. That's crazy.
That didn't even make sense.
I talked to the reader that day because I worked. I was on the scene working that one. I remember that.
Broad daylight, you're shooting at him. He's running down the street, and then he shoots you one time to the head. Not even looking.
I don't even know what to call that because it's like you wasn't even looking.
You weren't even looking. You just shot back right.
That's crazy.
But his two friends, so-called friends, were shooting at him.
And that happens a lot.
What is that like?
That happens a lot. My 14-year-old cousin that got shot up there by Grant Park, he was shot almost 5 years to the day of his father being murdered with gun violence. There was a crap game. He shouldn't have been out in the middle of the night, but nonetheless, being out in the middle of the night shouldn't get you killed. Should get your butt whooped when you get home. Right. They start shooting. He's running. He falls. The girl he with saying, "Get up, come on," and as soon as he gets up, shot in the head.
Oh my God.
Listen. I've had in the last 10 years, I've had 10 family members murdered here in Cincinnati. All individual homicides. The last one being my grandson. Also, in those same last 10, going on 11 years, I've had 9 family members wounded by gun violence. The last one being my son, Jackie.
Right.
Also, I have one family member who is lost by suicide by gun. So there's a lot. There's so much that when you know and when you talk to your loved one and you try to tell them, don't do this, don't do that. Right. But what we say, even as adults, we don't always. None of us always do everything that we should. Right. For me, there's certain things that I just don't do. I love the wings at the Holy Grail. But I'll be doggone if I'm going to Holy Grail and get some wings because it's crazy down on the banks. There are so many shootings.
On the bank?
On the bank. Oh, yeah. The bank. The bank.
I'm thinking it's a safe place, and I mean, no place is really 100% safe. But I mean,
it's safe. Nobody's standing in the middle of the street going like, "All right, on 3 we draw."
Right.
They're just shooting. Yeah. People getting shot. I went to Buckhead Grill to watch the fireworks. First time I've watched fireworks downtown in 3 decades, 30 years. Mm-hmm. But a friend came in town, and some of us went over there. The thing about that was Buckhead Grill was the last place I had seen my grandson alive because I had taken him and my granddaughter to dinner. Mm. And I had to get in his butt because we talking about kids.
Right.
This boy in my car pulls out a joint. Mm. And I told him, I will stomp you through this floor.
Right.
But he didn't light it.
No, but he pulled it out and he know you were pastor.
No, he know I'm his granddaddy. Bumped the pastor because that wasn't the pastor talking. That was his granddaddy talking.
Right.
But I'm over there watching the fireworks, and this is sad. This is sad, but this is real. I didn't feel so uncomfortable. You know why? Because we're the only black folks in there.
That's real.
You know what didn't happen? Because we got there, the fireworks started, about 9:15? We were there I think we got there about 4 o'clock. It's like all you can eat and all this stuff.
Okay.
And all I could eat, believe me, I did. They probably disappointed, like, see him coming next year? No. But
shut it down.
I sat there when I first, and at first I'm like, because I do this work too much. This work I do, not just here. Right. I do. So I'm not real big on being around a bunch of us. I'm just gonna say it. I'm not big being around a bunch of us.
A lot of people feel that way.
So over there at Buckhead Grill, we were the only us. I didn't expect it to be that way. And don't you know, I enjoyed myself after a while. But because at first, my head on a swivel, I'm like,
right.
But after a while, I kind of sat back. Me and my buddy Binky, Leon, y'all know Leon Washington.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Binky,
yeah.
you know, and a couple other folks, and we sit, and I got relaxed. I got relaxed to where I stopped.
Your blood pressure went down.
But before that, I'm like looking. It's already bad enough that was the last place I saw my grandson.
Exactly.
But now with this, and it's sad that listen, you know who white folks are safer in a black community than I am.
That's crazy.
Than you are.
Right.
And that's sad. I'm more likely to get killed by somebody who looks like me. Police killing black folks, they've been doing it since we got off the cruise ships. Right. So that ain't nothing new.
Right.
But they kill now, anyway, way less of us than we kill.
Than you think.
But I'll go back to what I said earlier. We will tear up the city if a white officer shoot Ray Ray. Ray Ray can be the worst dope dealer in the community. But if he shoot Ray Ray and Ray Ray black and it's a white officer, we flipping, we going, we burn it down.
Right.
But when Malcolm shoot Ray Ray, we ain't see nothing. I was tying my shoes.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we let's go back? I just don't know if I heard right. So y'all was saying like y'all rather be around white people more than black people?
Nah.
No, I'm saying
that's not what he said.
No, just educate me.
I was saying that if it's a large crowd,
sometimes you
I
feel
would
more
rather
like
it be more white
bit
people
like-
than black people for my own comfort level.
Really?
Absolutely.
Sometimes, yeah.
If it's
Sometimes it's like
especially a packed play, I don't even want to go in there, especially if it's
I
packed
like
with a
being
whole bunch of
around
black
my
people.
I mean, you like it, but I mean,
Okay, for the jazz
I like
festival.
being around my
The
people.
jazz festival.
I like being
You
around.
go
them, but I-
last year, they had them people down there shooting.
I will never see
They down there shooting in the crowd, and it was a black thing. But
And I didn't say I like, but I didn't say that I said that I feel safer. I said I felt safer in that environment.
Safer.
Just a little safer because crazy stuff.
No, they act crazy. They act crazy too.
I'm gonna say
another way,
they get drunk.
sometimes
and
it
they
depends on the
They
situation. You have to
shooting
assess the
up.
situation also.
They're
So
not shooting up the place now. They may
They
start
get drunk
fighting
and they
stuff,
get
but they not
friendly.
shooting. But you ain't even got to, the black people, and it's sad that it's our own folks. You ain't got to even be, look, for instance, what was that in Dayton? Them people in the club.
Yeah.
And somebody start shooting in the club. Because why? Why you shooting at them people in the club? Why? Because they gay?
oh yeah, that thing and date.
You know
Remember
what I'm
that?
saying?
Well, it
That
wasn't
was-
even just the gate that, because I went up for the after that happened the same time. It was in 2019 in August. It happened the same time that the El Paso mass shooting happened, right? El Paso shooting happened first,
don't
then the
know
Dayton
what's
shooting.
happening.
And then about 2 weeks later, John Legend, who is from Springfield, Ohio, he came there to do a concert. And so Everytown sent me there. He did a special concert for the survivors and their families. And I went there to work with them. And this person, and it wasn't just in one thing. And it wasn't even just because they were gay, because I think I think the shooter, I think that his sister was LGBTQ or something. So it wasn't
got shot.
right.
He got
So
killed.
Yeah, it
so
was-
it's
it
not
was something
saying
else.
that
It
I'm
was
not.
something else.
Listen, I'm happy to be black. I love being black. I'm not trying to be anything else. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. But at the end of the day, I want to come home when I go. So I feel safer. When and hey, if your people listening, and I ain't talking about you, I'm talking about me.
Yeah.
So you ain't gotta like it. I feel safer when I'm not in a crowd of. So let me clarify this. A bunch of young black folks.
Okay.
A
yeah.
bunch of young black folks.
Yeah.
And if I go down to the fireworks on the Cincinnati side, in Dayton, in the Kentucky side, I was in a controlled environment.
Yeah.
You had to pay. This wasn't just on the bank of the river where you can be, where you got unsupervised, some of these kids too young to be down there by themselves, wilding out, fighting over territory. You don't own nothing. You're not a stakeholder. Your mama don't even own it. You rent.
Right.
But you fighting over territory. So you see somebody, because you from Walnut Hills and you see them from the Faye. Oh, there's no fair anymore, is it? You see them from the terrace, and now y'all see each other and you ready to fight. My grandson got murdered over a bottle of freaking water.
Wow.
That is retarded.
By a black man or a black cat, young black person. So yeah, when I go out to socialize, I'm not trying to be in a place with about a lot of young black men and women, because not all of them, but it only takes one of them to put a bullet in my head.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm not trying to be around all of them.
And I'm not saying that I can't enjoy it, but I just, as far as my anxiety level, my head on the swivel, like, am I gonna be totally relaxed and just enjoying myself, or I'm gonna be more like on guard and a little like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No. So I enjoy it. I still, I love my people and all of that, but for me, it's just not. I'm not gonna be able to enjoy myself the same.
Right.
And we're older. I ain't trying to be. First of all, I don't want to even party with somebody 18, 19. My attitude, if you're younger than my kid, if you're younger than my oldest child, which is 40, I don't know if I'm. We just do a lot of hanging out.
I mean, so if you saying it that way, I get it. But first, I was, maybe I was misinterpreted, because I was just like
you don't want to be around black people.
Black people, like, what the
I
hell?
wouldn't.
I felt comfortable.
So
That's what
now I
was
get
doing.
that with younger kids. Like, I don't even like my daughter. I don't even want to go out with her. She's 30. I don't want to hang with her like that. I don't want to. I'm not going to a bar with my daughter. I'm not doing these things. We didn't probably at a family thing or whatever, but just me saying, come on, let's put on some clothes and let's go to a hang out and go to a bar. And she's 30. I just personally don't want to do it. Like,
on two different levels.
I mean, I want her to do her thing.
Right.
And I don't want to be the mother and watching her, she's 30 years old. So I get that. I don't want to I don't like going to a younger club. My oldest son will be 35 this year.
Yeah.
I don't want to go nowhere with
My
35
age.
years old. I don't sit so I get what you're saying on that, but I just thought you were saying like younger kids. No, I don't want to party with them. I don't want to be around them.
Yeah.
No, I don't do this. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I get
and
I just thought
I
you were
don't
saying
trust all
like
white- I don't
not
trust
none
all
of
white
like the
folks
black
either.
people. I'm like,
It depends on who they are, right? When they start yeehawing, I start going, it's time to get up out of here.
Time to go. Time to go.
But my thing is just that I was saying for that, I just went through, by the time we got to September, I've gone through 9 months where my son has been shot again and my grandson has been murdered.
So you're still traumatized a little bit.
And I work in this every day. I work with survivors around the country. So my conversation for work is 99.99999% about gun violence, or I'm talking to someone who either, whether it was 50 years ago or today, it just happened. 50 years ago can feel like today. So I'm constantly having these conversations. This is what I do. Before I did that, I was working in this city, showing up at these homicides. So for me, things sit different. And because in my years of doing this work, I'm talking about in Cincinnati, the super duper majority of the shooters that we had to deal with were black. So when I go out for me to relax and enjoy myself, I don't want my blood pressure. Right? I don't want to do this because I can't enjoy myself. Right. I like going on the square. Sometimes when I go to the square, go to Graders, get me some ice cream. I don't care what music. It could be bluegrass because I like bluegrass. It could be bluegrass playing.
Right.
I like to go sit and eat my ice cream.
Yeah.
When it's certain music playing, I'm comfortable going down there and sitting. If it's hip hop or something like that, I'm not that comfortable because for some reason our young people will find a reason to fight in the middle of joy.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to end up dead or paraplegic or something. So I let them have their space.
And you know what? I can kind of feel the difference between you and, I would say regular people like us. We don't see homicide as much as you do.
What kind of people am I?
I'm saying like your occupation or your
Yeah, I know.
you know what I'm saying? Like you go out and you see it all the time. We don't see it all the time. So that's where the difference lies at. You know, he around it all the time, so he knows like what happened and what the situation was and how many times he saw it. I'm quite sure sometimes you go home and you go to sleep, you can't even sleep right because you just.
I dream of being murdered at least 3 times a week.
Man.
Every week, I dream of being murdered at least 3 times a week. That's my reality from the work and from what's happened to my family, but from doing this work, from going over and over and over. Vicarious trauma, you know what vicarious trauma is? Vicarious trauma is real. A lot of people don't realize it. So I've got gun violence on myself. I got gun violence on my son. My grandson is murdered. I've got all these family members shot and murdered. Then I'm talking to people. I'm out at the murder scene. I'm there. I'm seeing it. We show up. When we got there, we had to stay until the tape came down, which meant that was right after the coroner took the body. So we're there. When I go to sleep at night, if I go into the city and I'm driving, say I drive down Race Street, I've been to a number of homicides on Race Street. All I have to do is turn onto Race and I start seeing these ghosts. I don't believe in ghosts the way, I'm not talking about ghosts like, but I start seeing them just driving. It's like the body was there. The person was here. I see it everywhere I go. And so, it is definitely post-traumatic. Yeah, it is definitely that.
I can't even watch the news like when it's have war and stuff on. I can't watch that because I was in it.
Right.
I can't just sit there and watch that.
Right.
So I have to be like, hey, I gotta go downstairs, watch TV. I can't watch it.
We're gonna take a real quick commercial break, and when we come back, speaking on, you've been naming all these couple of songs, touching on songs, so we're gonna touch on.
I talk about music.
We're gonna talk about a particular song you wrote, and I want to know why you wrote it. What encouraged you to write this song? But we'll touch on that as soon as we come back from this quick commercial break. We're back. And as I said, we were going to touch on a little subject of singing subject. And we're going to talk about Mr. Pastor. I said Mr. Pastor.
That's all
I had to
right.
get it up in there, didn't I?
Mr. Pastor,
Mr.
Reverend
Pastor.
Doctor, however you go.
Pastor Jackie Jackson. Mr. Loverman. No. Pastor Jackie Jackson. Yes, we're going to talk. Pastor Jackie Jackson. He has a song out called, well, it's not out yet.
No. Not One More. That's been out already. It came out a couple of years ago, but it plays overseas more than here. It was released in 100 countries.
Okay, yeah. Not one more, yeah. We're gonna talk about Not One More, as you see up on the screen. We're gonna talk about Not One More. And I wanna ask you, so I kind of know what encouraged you to write the song, but what was it that, put the idea of the words and the thoughts into your head and say, you know what? I'm gonna write about this song, man.
One of my colleagues, Richard Martinez, he retired from Everytown the beginning of this year. His son Chris was murdered at a shooting at a university in California. Excuse me. And I can't remember the name of the university. I feel bad about that. But the main point is that his son was murdered. Mm-hmm. I met Richard when I started with Everytown. Before I became employed there, I started as a survivor fellow, and Richard was one of the trainers. And I heard him share his story about his son's life being taken, along with these other college students. Well, Richard, who was an attorney at that point in time, he did a lot of speaking, and at the university, they had a press conference, and he spoke. And in a lot of places on MSN, on all these different news shows and everything, they had him. But one of the things he talked about in his speaking, Not One More, which is like a Shakespearean thing. And now, and all the time that I'd worked with him, I became a fellow in 2018. I joined the staff in 2020. So I spent a lot of time with Richard. We were close, and I'd heard his story a number of times. But one day we were on the phone, and he was talking in depth about the story. I didn't get just the nuggets. he gave me the whole thing. And as he kept saying the Not One More piece, and then he sent me some YouTube of him speaking in different places, I called him one day and I was like, man, I'm gonna write a song. Not One More. That was like in my spirit because it just kept bouncing in my head. Right. And so I was called, I said, are you good with that? And he said, well, you gotta reach out to Shakespeare. That's his. So if you want to use it, use it. Right. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to write one more. Not One More. Right. And the Not One More is the thing of not one more child, not one more shooting, not one more life. You know, thinking about from my perspective, with my family, not wanting one more family member to be shot or murdered, and other people as well. So because of that, I set out to try to write the song, which never works for me when I go, I'm going to sit down and write. Right. So I'm shaving one day, and this melody comes in my head, and the part, not one more family should wonder how they'll make it through. Right. And so I stopped shaving. I grabbed my phone. What a wonderful age we live in. And I hit the recorder on my phone, and I came up with maybe 22% of the lyrics. Right. Then my ex-wife, her brother named Chris Flame out of Atlanta. He's he's a Grammy-nominated producer. Yep. If you ever saw. What was the movie with Denzel where he was the gangster?
Training Day?
No. I'm sorry. He was the dope dealer.
Training Day.
American Gangster.
Oh, American
Gangster.
American Gangster, yeah.
If you remember, and then Jay-Z had a song, a CD, American Gangster. Right. And in the opening song on that is Chris, and Idris Elba is talking on it. So I heard that. So if you remember
I know
that.
What you're talking about.
If you remember Gorilla Zoe.
Yeah, remember Gorilla
And Hood Figure, which is the radio. He's the one that produced Hood Figure and got Gorilla Zoe signed. Wow. And some other stuff. I called him. I'm like, hey, you know, we're not brother-in-law anymore, but I still call him my brother. I'm like, hey, brother-in-law, I need to do this song. Right. So I sent him that little piece, and he was like, well, why don't you just come on down to Atlanta? Let's go in the studio. So I'm like, okay, went down to Atlanta. Still only had the same few words, got there with him and another producer, and we were talking about it. We needed to build a track because I had a sort of melody, but not really. So we were going to start to build a track, and you know how that's working. Yeah. But he said, before we do that, and that's the music you hear on the song, not that one, I'll tell you what that is. He said, I got this music, and I want you to hear it and see how it goes. He played about 5 seconds. I was like, that's it. I want to do that one. He's like, okay, well, you got to write. So now I'm under the writing pressure again because I do it better when I don't have to do it. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just singing it. And he's like, you know what, stop. Go in the booth and put on the cans because you're saying stuff and we're losing it. We can fix it in the mix. Just go in. So I went in, put on the headphones. They played the track. I wrote the song, one take.
That's dope.
And I didn't realize it. I just came out the booth and they're looking at me strange. And I'm like, what? They said, you just wrote the song. Wow. The song I talk about in there, like I say, not one more family should wonder how they'll make it through. I talk about no fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers should be standing at the door of the worship, basically at a church. Because remember the Tree of Life, the Jewish synagogue where all that, and then Mother Emmanuel down there with the shooting. That should be standing there looking at their loved ones shot down on the floor in the church. No, shouldn't do that. Right. It shouldn't you shouldn't lose your life at a grocery store. Yeah. And so all of those things came to pass because those are the things that are happening in the world. Yeah. And had happened or getting ready to happen. Yeah. And so I wanted to, because of the work I do, I wanted music that would help move the music. We call it the movement. We call it the movement. Every time at work, I tell them all the time, I call it survival. But if you want to do movement, we can do movement. Because, a movement you can move in and out of. People do movements based on the movement of the day. Whatever the flavor of the day or the year is, that's the movement they're in. Yep. So, but there are people dedicated. I just don't use the term movement. And that's where the song came. Now, the song that you have, that one is when I signed with the label that I'm with. And Chris and the other producer, we couldn't work out me getting the music. So the
right.
label had their people produce that track, which the original is much slower. The one you have is a more upbeat.
Upbeat, yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see that. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool story, man. That's I would say songs like that are needed these days because we have so much booty shaking, pop, pop, pop. I just dropped him, get money, get paid, and not enough of those old gut-wrenching truth-telling from the soul.
Well, they ain't an old song. I don't want you don't mess up my sales.
I'm saying that
now,
old
son.
school feel.
Yeah.
You know, the old school feel where
The
you like
style.
Yeah, the style, man. So
It's
we need
just
some of those.
blunt, and I'm just telling it blunt
Can
in
I
your
hear a
face.
little bit of it? Because I want to hear what he's talking about.
Well, here it go.
I want to know what he's
And
talking
see,
about.
remember y'all heard the original, the slower one.
I haven't even heard
I played it for you all down at both
Just
of
so
y'all.
you don't remember.
Yeah, because I played it for you down at Bishop O'Neill's church. We were over in the Frisch's parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember now.
Do you have the one?
I don't have it. Nope. I don't. I have it, but I don't have it on the computer.
If I play it, will it pick up?
Yeah, if you put it into the microphone, you should be able to hear it. Yep.
Okay, I'll play the da-da-da. Yeah, you saying, oh, and then people like, oh, it's one of them. It's one of them. You got people thinking it's like spiritual.
Right.
All right. Yeah, you snoring.
Well, I just see your eye pop around.
I had to make sure.
He like,
Yeah, I had to look too. Like,
Old school.
I'm old.
I like
sleepy.
she gone.
I've been up early since church to now. I'm sleepy. I think I dozed off.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. No dose. No dose.
All right.
I'm sleepy.
Yeah, you
Melody said, "I'm sitting here. Good conversation. I'm sitting here questioning my thoughts."
Her surroundings. She questioning like, oh, that one. Then and something about changing her surroundings too.
Yeah.
Talking about going around young people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, here it is.
Here we go.
Jerry Laquan Brown, Xavier Arnold, not one more, Sarah Whitson, Rachel Whitson, April Whitson, not one more, Joshua McDowell, Frederick Myron Smith, Dominique Milton Williams, not one more, Mr. Slug Moe Douglas. Not one more family should wonder how they'll make it through. Not one more politician should say my thoughts and prayers are with you. No more fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers standing at the place of worship's door, seeing their families, seeing their babies, seeing their loved ones gunned down on the floor. We gotta make a change, and say, not one more, no, not one more, no, not another child should be gunned down to play no more, not one more. We gotta do something now and say, not one more, not one more. We gotta do something now
anyway, that's pretty much the.
I love it.
All right.
That's
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice. I definitely like that. I like that. I
To
like
God
that.
be the glory. Now we got one. I got one with my son Chris that's coming out hopefully mid-July. I mean not mid-October,
Right.
maybe November. And that's the one that I let you in the store.
Yeah, yeah.
Bedtime prayer.
That was nice.
And
I like that
that is dedicated to my grandson.
Yeah. That was a nice one.
Yeah.
I like that one
Very
too.
nice.
I like that one also.
It's an ear catcher.
Yeah.
To God be the glory. Thank you.
It's an ear catcher. It's
Yeah.
something that I feel like that
Jazz hip hop.
it's an ear catcher. Like I can
see us riding down the street with that blasting.
All right.
just at home or
But I wish
just
they
get
would-
the family together and just around and you put that on and just if you want to do some education and then they can just listen to that and then there's the melody of it and the message of it is so like
They was like,
touching.
Yeah.
So I can see that being played. Just say if you just say like Thanksgiving coming up,
just said
someone was
nice.
to put that out.
Should not have
It's
blessed herbs.
maybe
Should not have so
it'll
blessed herbs.
click
Not
to some
one
of
more.
these kids or whatever if they just saying it.
should have said, okay then.
And it because it's emotional. It's catchy. It's an ear catcher. So
To God be the glory. God, but
Yes.
I wish it played over here. We may be going to Belize next year
Right.
because you remember Shine. We were talking about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Remember
yeah,
Shine
yeah,
that went
Shine,
to
yeah.
prison for puffing,
Shine, Puffy,
with
you
the
know
gun
Shine?
charge.
Yeah.
Well, Shine was from Belize. So after he did all those years in prison, when he
He's the
got
president
released,
over there, ain't he?
he's not president, but he's close. He will probably be prime minister at some point. See, I'm glad you know, because a lot of people they have no idea, and I'm
They don't
like
know.
going, he's in politics, so
Heavy.
I'm glad you know. You're informed. I like you.
Yeah. Heavy over
So
there.
anyway, that's pretty much where that is.
Yeah, he's the man. So we've come to the point of the show where we pretty much winding it down and about to cut up out because we got my cousin Snow. Excuse me. You gotta.
I was just being funny. I'm wide awake.
She's wide awake.
She
now.
got drool coming down one side of her face.
She's wide awake. But
I
yeah,
just like
yeah.
a little humor. My
Yes, we had fun today, man. So we come to the part of the show where I give a little, a little something going out, segueing out to the end of the show, and I want to say, as that song said, not one more, man, not one more person should. I wish it was a world like that. I wish it was like really not one more, but it's not, unfortunately, because. We should say not one more person holding back and say, "Hey, I didn't see it." Not one more. Not one more person inviting a child into their home and not locking up their guns safely in a safe manner. And not one more life should be taken away from us. But unfortunately, until we figure out a way to navigate and reduce certain things and lock certain things in, we won't reach that point. So why not give one more of your abilities and really get out there and try to fight for what's right, because these days is very much needed for us to head into the right direction, because we all need to stick together, and not one more person should be taken away from us in a tragic manner. But
say something.
and my wife wants to say something.
I want to go back to earlier when Phyllis had said like it's Revelations. We live in, but if you also read in Revelations, I'll say the system of things will come to an end. The system of things will come to an end. So everything that we going through, everything is a system. We're going in the system. If you just see how man made everything to be, as far as they getting away with like money and everything, it's just a system of things are coming to an end. So the way the world is being run right now, that's a system, and it's coming to an end, and God is coming back. He's coming back for his people. So that's where we at in Revelations. The system of things will come to an end. So all this that's going on right now, that's playing out from Revelations, is coming to an end. Because God coming back for his people. Man is not bigger than God.
Never.
So God is coming back for his people, and he's going to save us.
Yes.
As he did once, he's going to continue. So the system of things is coming to an end. So we just have to keep prayed up and not be afraid. So I'm not afraid. Like I really hand over everything to God. I fear not because I have God.
That's a good thing to have.
So
That's a good one to
just
have
wanted
right there.
just to say that, just to be, be on the lookout that the
Yes.
system of things is coming to an end.
Yes. And we are now at the end. We are coming to an end. So let us say thank you so much for tuning in.
And thank you for coming on.
Yes,
No,
thank you, Pastor, for coming on. Thank you, Pastor, for coming on. Thank you. Yes. So we're gonna segue up out of here, and thank you so much for tuning in. And we will return next week with another topic of it's crazy, but you'll see. And I want to say peace.
Peace, guys.
Next week on Pillow Talk Live.
So speak on a little bit of something about, the Nike situation.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, man, my first sent that idea in 85 to Nike. I was really just freestyling the shoe, man, because I just played ball. So I was trying to look for something more, on ankle support. And the Air Force Ones is the ones that I loved the most when they came out. Then they had this, with the strap on there. So, what I'm saying? Looking for something more that, like I said, the ankle protection.
Right.
Because, a lot of times, man, I was twisting my ankles here and there, So when I sent that, I was just sending it in and see what they were going to say, And within 2 weeks, that's when they wrote me. And then another year later, they wrote me, 86, saying they, they love going to keep you on file. And once again, we appreciate you. Next thing I know, 87 come. Here come the Air Revolution and the Air Max with the visible bubble on it. And then later on, you had the Jordan 3s was off the Air Revolution. That's the shoe that kept Michael Jordan from leaving going to Adidas. So that's saying that Nike's legacy.
Yeah. Yep.